how have I handled burnout? Very good question. Because yes, doing it for all these years, there were times when it was bad. I've managed to make it where I don't let myself get too burned out. Like it's sort of like this red alarm, like oh God, like I can't let this happen. Because the worst it got was around like 2007, 2008, especially around the time I was doing the Mario 3 episode. I remember I was sick for like 4 months. And I remember a couple times I lost my voice and couldn't even record VO. But it happened like somehow I managed to record whenever my voice came back, and I never was stuck without it. So I would still do the rest of the video while sick, but when my voice came back, it sounded like the voice in The Exorcist when the demon is speaking through Regan. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is perfect for the episode. So I recorded all those lines, like, your mother sucks cocks in hell and all that, when I had that voice, because that's actually what I sounded like during that time. Yeah, no, I mean, it was really bad for a while, but now I do everything I can to avoid getting too burned out.
Yeah, it sucks, with YouTube the way it is, where you always have to get the next video out or everything starts suffering. Like, so many people get burned out from like, oh, the same old. Thankfully, Cinemassacre has enough of a variety of content where we can do like this show or that show and this AVGN or that. You're not just making AVGNs twice a week or whatever.
Yeah. No, this is a hard year. Like, coming out of the pandemic and doing 2 nerds a month and everything. I think this might be the final year where we do 2 nerds a month.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because there's a reason I didn't do this. Like, but when I stopped doing this during the game trailers days, I had like a contract to put out 2 episodes a month, and it just became too much eventually. And then I was like, you know what? Like, can we change this so that I just do 1 a month? And they were cool. And so I did 1 a month from then on. And then I don't know how we started doing 2 a month again, but I mean, I will say the episodes have been great. Like, I really like what we've been putting out.
Yeah, we have some shorter ones, some longer ones.
It was just because we stopped doing, James and Mike Mondays and rental reviews wasn't a thing. When we were doing weekly content and then the nerds on top of it, it was 1 a month. But now that it's been, especially with like, now we're out of like, we're filming again.
Well, the problem is when we were doing James and Mike Monday rental reviews and something every Wednesday, be it AVGN or another review, or it's bullshit. That was the biggest the channel's ever been. So YouTube does reward if we were doing 3 fucking videos a week, but we would die.
YouTube rewards burnout. Basically,
they do.
Yeah, so
they're like a
I think it's easy to. Yeah, I think when you're starting out, that's when it seems to be the hardest, because then you're starting to realize what it is that is too much. You're starting to realize what you can't handle. Because I can't do it like that. Back in the old days, I would do like these 18, 20-hour days or something just to finish. Like, if I'm like, oh, I'm working on Nerd, but then I also got to do this and I also got to do that, and like there's all these different projects, and and then you're just trying to take care of like business and maintenance stuff, and like it's almost like you're trying to do multiple jobs at the same time. No, I think I'm a lot more experienced with that now, where well, how do I avoid burnout? I got you guys to help me, so
I get it.
We will take your burnout. I mean,
Yeah.
especially on Vegas Stakes or even some of the episodes last year, like there were nerd episodes I was up for 24 hours editing or otherwise, because I always have to fix the next little thing or
well, that's the thing too, is especially like, when we were doing rental reviews or any of those shows too, like a lot of people don't think about like talking about games, which was part of the channel for a long time. You're editing between 3 cameras, sound, you got to sync it up, you have to figure out which spot is the best, who's talking when, what to cut out, all those kind of things. And if you film for an hour and a half, it takes about 5 hours to watch that entire hour and a half and make the cuts, then to cut through those, you're editing a 1 hour video over the course of about a week.
What helps with burnout is, especially if it can be your job and it's your 9 to 5 or whatever. And then you rest when you're done for the day, and you definitely take your weekends and just get away from it for a bit. But if you're just hammering away constantly, you're going to burn yourself out. It's like, I recommend, like, when you're doing stuff, always move at like a good 60% like fiber. Like, you're getting stuff done, but you're not rolling at like 100% and you're not rolling at like 0 all the time. Because if you're always rolling at 100% or even more, you're going to fucking burn out very quickly and start resenting what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then it starts getting real fucked up, you know? I don't know. That's my advice. So anyway.
Yeah.
Also, too, watching the movies took time. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, we're watching movies. But it's like when you have to watch...
Well, 31 Monster Madness movies.
And
like,
for instance, I mean, just when we did...
even though I have a lot of help, I still got to watch the movies. So,
well, when we did Cage Match...
Oh, God,
and Cage Match was 2 movies, a week or whatever.
20 movies, and they were all over 2 hours.
So that was the thing, was then on top of us, like, editing or whatever and filming, we also had to... I had to carve out, like, I remember 16 hours 1 week to watch all these Nicolas Cage movies at once.
The problem with rental reviews, because one, me, Kieran, and Tony would pile in a van, go to your place, so that's a drive back and forth, set up all the gear, break down all the gear, because it wasn't set up all the time, because it was like your functioning basement for your family and stuff. We'd all have to watch the movies, and that just takes time for each of us. So then I couldn't work on this nerd episode, or you couldn't work on this James of Mike Monday or whatever. So we had to that's the real reason why rental reviews ended, because we had to spread out our production force to get everything else done.
I feel like the one thing that I always think about is I just wish I could clone myself, because so many days it's like I want to be working on this, but I also want to be working on this, and you can't do both. It's like I can only do one of these things today. Which one am I going to do? Why can't I just clone myself so I could just work on all of them? Like,
If you clone yourself, you could bang yourself in an alley.
That's a line in a Schwarzenegger movie too. The Sixth Day.
I think. Day,
Hey, why don't you clone yourself so you can go fuck yourself?